Are you ready?
Yes.
Hey, it's recording.
Oh, hey. Hey, yeah, of course I'm ready.
Hi, this is Stuart,
This is David.
and this is Filling the Storehouse, episode 4.
No, dude. It's episode 5.
5. It's
Yeah.
episode 5. We're gonna lose track of that really fast.
Nah, it's usually like sequential. So like there's 3 and there's 4 and there's 5. And then wait for it. What's after 5, Stewie? It's not
Uh,
7. It's a hint.
no,
It's not 7.
Wells says 12. My
12?
son, my son
Well,
Wells says
Wells
12.
is like 1 years old and
He's 2. He's 2.
you're like 40.
He's
So
he's 2.
6
Oh,
is
okay,
after
6.
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I was up early this morning, and it's daylight savings time, so it was spring forward, and I decided to ride my Peloton bike, and it was actually like a really good message this morning. Like I was getting yelled at, and I was riding my bike, and the instructor was like, "Hey, you made the choice to be here this morning. Like, good job, great choice. And we all make choices in life." And I was like, "Yeah,
And then you
yeah."
got off the bike. You
And
were
then
like, I'm out.
and I went to sleep. But it's funny because I am reading a book to my daughter Collins, um, and the book is called "What Should Darla Do?" Here, I brought it for you. Have you read these books to your kids? I think
No,
there's
no.
there's one called "What Should Danny Do?" too for
Those look awesome.
boys. But it's pretty cool. Like it's like there's a story, and then you get to a page, and you have to like make a choice, right? You can choose to share your toy with your brother, or keep the toy to yourself, or whatever the story is. And then once you make a choice, then you go to another page, and you like see how the story plays out based off of your decisions. And if you make a certain choice, you could end up like getting in a fight with your brother at the end and put in timeout, or or you could play nice and have a great day, and all things turn out well. And so,
I
but then
think
like,
every single time my boys would choose the fight and then it would end in the fight and they're
yeah,
also happy with that. So
yeah, yeah.
my
But
guess.
what's cool is like then you can like go back and you can be like, hey, what if we'd have made this choice instead? And so it's pretty cool. Like I'm getting to see like my 5-year-old start to kind of think about the choices in life and how that impacts you down the road. And I mean, really, like our life is just all filled with just little choices, right? And
Yeah.
so I don't know, it just kind of got me thinking, and I was starting to write a blog about it this morning. And then my computer died because I didn't have it plugged in, and so then I started telling you about it, and so here we are. Um, so that was it. I'm done.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Episode 5. That's a wrap in the books.
But I mean, so
No,
let's talk about
I
like
think it's huge.
some of
I
the
think it's huge.
choices, right? Like
Yeah.
um, being intentional about the choices that we make can create like a really huge impact. And I've seen, I've tried to get really intentional this year. And I think, and you and I, kind of on the same boat, like we've started kind of talking to each other about, like our morning routines, and having a journal, and asking each other, like keeping each other accountable for reading the Bible in the morning, and having that intentionality and making those choices first thing in the morning. I've found it to be like huge for me. What about you?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I always talk about this. And I think it's, in our day jobs as the nature of being naval officers and leaders. One thing I always tell my folks is, hey, you have 2 choices. You can be intentional and you can be proactive, right? And you can drive the situations around you. And, you may not achieve the success that you want to achieve or the exact outcome that you want, but you at least have some say in that process if you're proactive, intentional. If you're not, you're reactional. You're reactionary to every single thing that happens around you, and then from that comes the victim mentality, and a complete loss of any sense of control. And there's a lot of negativity, in my opinion, of being just a reactive person, that life happens to you. And for me, yeah, the morning choices are huge. So I've gotten to the point now where if I don't do two things for sure in the morning, then my entire day is just absolutely different, and it's just not, it's not right. First thing is getting up in the morning and getting in the Word, getting that spiritual workout in. And we have an awesome group of fellas. I don't know, about 10, 15 guys now that are all on the same page on a Bible app, getting through the Bible in a year, which can be a challenge, right? I mean, it can be, you're reading 5 to 6, maybe 7 chapters a day, and it can be a challenge. But I tell you, that really awakens my, my spirit. And then working out. After I do that, I go work out, and if I don't get those two things in, the spiritual and the physical workout, the rest of my day is just, whether I got everything done or don't, it's just not the same, and I'm kind of in a funk. So my morning routine has gotten to the point that if I don't do it, it's it affects the rest of the day.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I'm up at I get up at 4 a.m. every single day, and I think you're very similar. And I started doing the 90 days of intention journal, the bigger pockets one,
Yeah,
this one right here. And what I really like about it, and you know, for the most of us in the military, we're kind of like checklist guys. We have your little checklist, and you just knock it off as you do it. And I've always been that way. I always have my checklist, and in this you have a daily action plan, and you have your set actions every single day that you're going to do. And it starts off with, well, hey, what time did you wake up? And you write it down. And then there's a little checkbox next to water. And it forced me, like, I think about it, I'm going to go drink a glass of water, hydrate. It's really important. Next is exercise, just like you talked about. I typically will go do like push-ups and sit-ups, or go ride my stationary Peloton bike or something like that. Next is daily journal. And that's where I start writing down like my goals and my minimum steps, minimum important next steps that I'm going to take for the day to get to that, big goal. And then there's a blank there where you can write in something else. And I write in Bible. I read, off of the Bible app every single morning. And then in the journal portion, like, you write down, hey, what you're grateful for. And that starts to get you thinking about, like, all the things that we have in our life, and what we're really grateful for. And then you start writing down what your goals are and your mins, and at the end you write down, I consider today a win if I do this. And so, like, what's your most important thing that you want to get done today? And knocking that out first thing in the morning, every single morning, like creating that habit and being intentional with that, and like making that choice to do that, for me has been huge. I feel like we've grown so much, this year by doing that kind of stuff.
yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I think, and it kind of leads into another thing we were talking about earlier, kind of who you surround yourself with and how you surround yourself. And you start noticing that, it's very easy to just kind of cruise through life. And there's a couple things that, that I've been trying to really influence in the, at the office. And one of the things that I'm going to implement starting this week, actually, I sent a calendar invite out to the triad. For those of you who aren't military, it's the XO, CO, and the Command Master Chief kind of group. And then we also have a TD, a technical director. And so what I proposed is that there's 1 hour during the day, I send out a calendar invite to block everybody's calendar off, so everybody sees that this time is blocked off. And it's a professional development reading time. It's just a time where we all either go our separate ways, go down to a coffee shop, go wherever, but it's 1 hour of intentional reading. Because you and I talk about all the time that leaders are readers, right? And you got to fill your mind, you got to make time to self-educate and learn something new. And whether that's leadership, whether that's real estate, whether that's whatever it may be. But to your point, that growth, you have to be so intentional with setting time aside to grow. Because I mean, you're just like me, right? You got these little munchkins, these little ankle biters running around your house. They're taking all your time. And then you're sitting down, you're doing dinner, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing bedtime, you're doing books. And by the time you're done with all that, I don't know about you, but by the time I'm done with that routine, it's 9 o'clock at night, and then I still have dishes to do. Right.
Yeah,
And
I'm
so
ready for bed.
I'm ready for bed. And if I want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, now that it seems like the day that I hit 40, like I cannot function on 5 hours of sleep anymore for the last
Yeah,
39 years of my life. Well, maybe not 39, but the last 20 years, 5 hours, plenty, starting at the Naval Academy, no issues at all. I hit 40 and I'm like, man, I need like 7 hours of sleep. I feel like I'm a pilot now or something. You
that's right.
pretty boy
Got to get your
aviators,
8 hours of sleep. It's
8
important.
hours. But the point to all that is you, as it doesn't get any easier. The older you get, you don't get more time. It's just everything's compressed, and you really got to be intentional in scheduling in those things that are most important. And if growth is important to you, then you really have to even try that much harder. And so it's been awesome to see, from my perspective. But a lot of times it's harder to see your own growth. But looking at you and us being business partners and just seeing every day and just some of the different transactions and the way we've grown through analysis and this business has been awesome to observe. Um, and then you like lost 11 pounds. I'm super stoked for you, man, with your pelotoning. So it's awesome just to, and and I think when you hold each other accountable to those things as well, you grow so much more, you accelerate that. And unfortunately, sometimes the groups that you maybe used to hang out with are just not the groups you're going to end up with, because you're on a trajectory, and a lot of times it just kind of changes those circles of influence that you might run in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, back to the making choices, like making the choice to surround yourself with the people that are going to empower you and push you and grow you and help you grow. Um, you know, People that are positive. And there's a lot, just like you said, there's a lot of negative people in the world. And so David and I, we joined, we put together a mastermind. David and I are in a group with, a bunch of other awesome military veterans that are, in the real estate space as well, entrepreneurs. And we meet every other Tuesday. And it's like, it's one of my favorite nights of the week. And it's the same thing. Like it's at night, we're tired. It's after our kids' routines. But we've dedicated this time to doing it. And, there's times where I'm like, oh man, I really don't want to do one of these tonight.
Yeah.
But then we get going and we start talking, and it just like gets you fired up, and it gets you motivated. And like, people are ask you how your week was, and, checks you and like, hey, did you do what you said you were going to do last week? And it's awesome. And so like, for a long time, I was like, masterminds, I'm not going to pay a bunch of money to be in a mastermind. And now, I mean, I think it's so worth it. So worth it.
Yeah, and when he's crazy, I would say 2 years ago, maybe even last year, I would have never even entertained the idea of paying tens of thousands of dollars to be in a mastermind. I mean, I wouldn't. And it just was my mindset. It was my aperture and where I was at. And I think actually the conversation that you and I had last year, we were like about that very mastermind that we were talking about, just 20 minutes ago. And now I'm like, I'm pretty pumped to be in a position where we potentially do sign up and get in that mastermind. Because I mean, even our mastermind group that we that every other Tuesday, man, those guys are crushing it, man. There's some dudes in there that are just freaking ninjas, man. I mean, it just fires you up. You're like, you did what this week?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I locked down 45 doors, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that, $10 million deal here and there. And I'm just like, my mind is blowing. Just some dude that was like, a few years ago was a sergeant in the Marine Corps. And then another guy who's current active duty guy writing 1,000 words a day, towards a book. And he's got an editor. And I mean, he's currently active duty Marine Corps as well. I didn't even know Marines could spell or read or write.
They can't.
But they can't. That's why he has an editor. And
That's right. Yeah.
yeah. But how awesome is that? He's paying out of pocket for an editor, not cheap at all. But he's putting a book together, and he's writing a book, and he'll be done by the beginning of May. And he's just like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write this book.
Yep.
And it's awesome, man.
That and there it goes, like being intentional, like
right.
setting your goal, making your lead measures, putting that in place every single day, being intentional, making that choice to do it, and
It
that's how you
fires me
find
up, man.
success.
Fires
Yeah.
me up. That dude, I don't even know how he has time to write 1,000 words, do a podcast, go do Marine Corps stuff, come home and and at some point you got to eat, right? So I mean, it's just these guys are awesome. It's awesome.
Just get one of those squeeze tubes, for you get out of the MREs or something.
That's true. Yeah, yeah, delicious,
Um,
delicious.
so just a shameless plug here. That mastermind is the War Room Mastermind. It's only for military and veterans, primarily in the real estate space. So if anyone's interested in joining it, it's really cheap in comparison to some of the other masterminds that we've been looking into. But if anyone's interested in that, you can email me at wrmastermind@gmail.com. So
Yeah,
that's my shameless plug.
and I'll throw another shameless plug. So we talk about these groups. We talk about being intentional. We're gonna have the Veterans REI Live event in coming at the end of May, a 2-day event. And I'll tell you what, man, just a lineup of speakers, just a group. I mean, we're gonna be in a room full of vets, and you don't have to be a vet to go. But all the speakers are going to be vets, and these guys. I mean, talk about ninjas, man. These guys are crushing it.
Yeah.
And if you don't think you're going to gain something from that and potentially earn deals, even change your mindset, whatever your goal and going is, you set that intentional goal into going. You buy a few $100 ticket, and then you go to this thing, and I guarantee you your life has changed. And it's crazy. And if what a lot of people just they minimize the importance of mindset, they minimize the importance of being intentional, they minimize the importance of who you surround yourself with. And I'll tell you, it makes a world of difference. It makes a world of difference, right? If you and I, just in this tiny microcosm of Storehouse 310, if we didn't push each other, or if we had a sense that we weren't rowing in the same direction, I mean, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. And if we weren't intentional about the things that we wanted to do, if I wanted to hire an assistant, you didn't, and we had different ideas on what our money should go and where it should be and what it should do, and the Storehouse 310 would not. I mean, it'd be a flash in the pan, and we'd be done pretty quickly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, the conferences. I mean, same thing. Like a couple years ago, I was like, I'm not going to spend $1,000 to go to this conference and buy hotel rooms and travel but man, just the one that we went to last month. God, I mean, how much did we get out of that? Just the people that alone that we met and that talked to, like that have now kind of connected with, and that alone is worth $1,000, right? That alone is
Uh,
worth the plane ticket, the drive up and the hotel room, and just that being in a room with people that are just like powerful, just growing and positive, and like have these huge goals and doing great things, giving lots of money away, creating nonprofit organizations and giving away tons of thousands to charity, and um, you know
yeah,
it's
and I'll
pretty
tell
cool.
you one thing that's awesome to see too, and for the folks that are listening to us out there, what I think is the most awesome is that each and every person that's listening to this has the same opportunity to not to go. Of course, you can go. Anybody can go. Anybody can be an observer. What I mean is everybody has the opportunity to be those people of influence. I had the opportunity to go to a. I'll tell you what. This is crazy. This is not a pat on the back in any way, but myself, Big Al Thompson, who is a Chick-fil-A operator right now, and Scotty Carr, who's also a Chick-fil-A operator. They're just doing incredible things, changing lives. But 20 years ago, we started a Bible study at the Naval Academy for the football team. And, never thought long term about it at all. It was just something that we saw a need. We wanted to the football team was bleeding together. We were mentally bleeding together through the academics of the Naval Academy, but there was that missing piece, that third leg, and it was the spiritual leg. So we started this Bible study. Anyways, long story short, I have committed to going to the Bible study with Pastor McKinney, and it's still going, dude. Like it's incredible. But
That's
I
awesome.
never would have imagined that. But Pastor McKinney was like, "Hey, why don't you start coming to the football Bible study?" And I was just like, that is crazy. So this thing is going 20, however many years later. But anyways, I had the opportunity to talk to these fellows last Thursday, And I just was highlighting to them, like, man, you men don't even know. And they're huge, man. These football players nowadays, I couldn't even get on a field with it, but they're just huge monsters, these kids. But looking around the room saying, hey, you guys are people of influence just by the nature of the fact that you're these monsters walking around campus playing football on a team that wins, which is not something that we experience.
Yeah.
Um, but people want to be these kids, man. They're just these buff, yoked dudes walking around just doing awesome stuff, and they're studs, and people want to be them. And I think the thing about that whole story, to wrap that up, is everybody listening doesn't that people just don't realize how much influence that they have. Like, I would argue that you don't realize how much influence that you have when you go into work every day, Stu. And people that look at you and watch you and observe you and the things you say and the words that they hang on to about whether it's real estate, leadership, Navy, whatever it may be, you are a person of influence. And once you realize that and you leverage it, not to take advantage of people, but to leverage it to make the world a better place, man, I tell you what, like, people just, they explode, and it's awesome. It's awesome to see, and everybody has the opportunity to do that. And sometimes these conferences are all you need to unlock that little piece.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. So that conference that we're talking about is first ever real estate conference for military and veterans. It's in May, 29 and 30 May in St. Louis, Missouri. It's veteranslive.com, veteranslive.com. And it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited about it. David and
Yes.
I are going to be speakers there. It's going to be really cool. We're going to get to talk about our company, and I think we might even be sponsors. We'll see. And it's going to be really cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, so, this is all about, all about the choices we make, and it's all about choosing to be intentional with all this stuff, and taking those opportunities to say the right words and to do the right things. And if it's in the military, if it's at home, with your kids, with your wife, your spouse, your significant other, um, you know uh, growing in real estate, doing a podcast. um, there's so many opportunities. Waking up at 4 a.m. and doing that morning routine, getting into the Word, reading the Bible, like, all these choices have such an impact on the trajectory of your life. And I think it's pretty powerful. It fires me up.
Yeah, man. I was about ready to go to bed. Now I feel like I got to read a book or something.
See, there we go. We
Awesome.
made a choice
There
to
we
get on
go.
tonight.
Yeah, and then I can't get up in the morning. See, those are choices, though. Those are choices.
I'll wake you up. You want me to call you? I'll wake you up. You want me to call you and wake you up in the morning?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, no.
All right.
Good.
All right. Well, that is episode, what, 5? 5, right?
5, right after 4, before 6.
Okay. Not 12?
Nope, not
All right.
12 wells.
Okay.
Stewie.
Oh. Um, that is it. Episode 5 in the books.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I believe that episode 6 is going to be our first guest. We're going to have
Yes.
somebody on, so it'll be interesting. It'll be awesome. Super excited about this individual. I think these first probably 5 to 10 episodes where we have guests are just going to be people that have really influenced us and have been significant people in our lives, and I think it'll really highlight. There's a lot of power in your network, and they may not be famous people, but there's some incredible human beings out there, and when they put their trust in you, it's pretty amazing. So really excited about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. And all of these episodes are gonna eventually make it onto, like, podcast style listening, on iTunes. We're still finishing up the graphics and the intro and outro, and we couldn't record the outro for anything when we were in Keystone together, but we finally got it together and got that done. But those should be out, before too long. Hopefully by, like, episode 12, we'll
Episode 12. Hopefully
we'll have
have
them out
episode
there.
1 out. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. We'll just throw them all out at once, episodes
Yeah,
1
it'd be
through
great.
11,
It'd be great.
so they can binge listen to.
Yeah.
They don't have to look at your ugly
Get them
mug
hooked.
anymore.
Get them hooked.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, that's
Awesome,
it.
brother.
Go for your Storehouse.
And make it a great day, friends.
See ya.